everyone. This time we have a very different scenario that we are bringing to you where we had a customer use case that we wanted to have the pipeline in one certain repository in one certain account and the resources in the other account. And this is a very common pattern because of which I thought to make a video so that it would be kind of little more clear. And this pattern we couldn't find anywhere, and that's why I think it's going to help you all in turn check out this pattern. So please watch till the end, and I have also given the link to the blog where you could follow the steps to get it done. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing is the use case that I want to talk to you about on what exactly, why is this pattern relevant, and then the details of the setup and the conclusion that is there. Now, what is the cross-account setup? In my earlier videos, you would have seen that when we would have certain scenarios, especially in large organizations, or if we want to even keep the billing separate, we are better off creating separate accounts. And when we create separate accounts, we would want to have one management account where we want to just have the resources such as pipeline, code repository, guard duty, guardrails in place. And the other account, which is the proper billing account for the customer, we want to have the physical resources defined. When I say physical, what I mean is resources such as your clusters, your compute, your lambdas, which are going to be doing the processing of your application. Your application specific workloads is where you would deploy. So the way the architecture would be is you would have the central account, and then in the other account, your resource accounts, you will be spinning up the resources. This is a very common use case, and it's a very good practice to do that because you would kind of have resources segregated rather than having, just think about the scenario, you have multiple accounts and you will want to have then pipeline in each account. Rather than, it's better off you just have one centralized pipeline, one centralized repository, which has access to these other accounts as well. So the benefits is it helps keeps the pipelines organized and helps in a centralized management. It's mainly from the operation perspective. There's not much in terms of performance or anything, but it's a good practice to implement. This helps smooth the DevOps process. So let me show it because I was thinking of put it in a presentation, but it was such an onerous task to come up with this video for it. So which is where I put all these steps in the blog, which is uploaded to our website where you could go and check it out. And this is the link to the blog. So for this purpose of this video, I'll be referring to the blog instead of the step. So the first thing is now set up, we have to have two accounts for this now. So what I've done is I have two browsers open, and let me show you here what we have done. So here we have two accounts here. One is the Arina Technologies, which is the management account going to be. The other one is where I've set up the ECS cluster here, which is going to be the second account. Now, this is where I have opened another browser. This is the other browser where I will be showing the ECS account. I'll be logging into this ECS account and showing you the setup that needs to be done. Yes, this is going to be account 2. And this in Edge is going to be account 1. And I have already logged in. You could see here, this is going to be the 1386, which is going to be the account 1. In Chrome, it's going to be 9923, which is going to be account 2, and that's what is referred as part of this block here. So the first thing what you will want to do is in account 1, you will set up a customer managed key. Now, these are the steps done detailed as part of setting up a customer managed key. So, but for the sake of this, what I've done is I've created a key already. Then I'll just show you what needs to be done. You will have to have it symmetric as part of it. But here, what you will need to do is you will need to have these policies, and these policies are documented in the blog. Feel free to take the code and use it to your liking. But this is what essentially the policy is going to be. Let me hit edit so it's a little more on the largest screen. Where you have the current account. This is the current account. You will be providing the permission. Now, these are the other steps where in the other, this is the role you will be creating in CodePipeline. And then the role you will be creating in the other one, and I'll walk you through this. But just to provide for you, these are the policies that you will have to create as part of this KMS. And if I go back, now this is where this is what it is talking about. What you will have to do, you will have to give all the permissions here, and then the CodePipeline role. Now in the other AWS account, this is where you would have to also create the IAM role. So now let me go to the IAM role creation, and this is again for the sake of the video. To not make it too long, I have created the role already. So this is the role I have created. And just to show you, what I've done is refresh. So this is the rule. And once I have two policies, now I'll go over the details of each policy. Why is each one needed? And let me go into the larger screen view. Now here you see I have given the permissions that are required for the code pipeline, because in this case it's going to require permissions for the resources it's going to access, which is auto scaling. It will require access to, it will require to registry, to the S3 bucket it will require. So whatever resources the pipeline will be touching and the appropriate access, so just try to give it the access that is needed. And accordingly as well for the ECS cluster. Now for the sake of this demo, I'd give it all access to ECS. It doesn't require all access. You could just keep it from the specific one, because it could be some, let's say in a higher environment, you wouldn't want to give all access to your cluster. But also in your pipeline, you will at that time also have an approval process, but still it's good practice not to give all access, but I've just given it all. You won't just follow it blindly, just think on this. This is the other account. This is the account 2 where I have to give this setup here. So this is one policy that is there. And the other policy, let me go here, which is, let me just expand. It's a small policy. Now in this policy, what I've done is I have given the permission to able to assume the role of any role of this other account. Now again, I shouldn't give any role. I should just give the one I've created. But again, it's a demo. I hope you guys will get it and just use the role specific which is required over here. So I'll go over to the other one, which is what you need to do in the account 2 to create the role. Now this is the account 2 where I will be going into the IAM and show you the role setup, what is required. And I've created the role already here. So let me just go here for deploy. And now this is a few things that are there. I just given like you need to give permission for code deploy, but accordingly feel free to give permission. You may want to have a managed policy, or you may want to create an inline policy, or AWS managed. If whatever works for your resources, just ensure the policy, the permission is there. But this is where you will also have to do. You will have to give the permission. Now this role, the reason why you need this role is such that the AWS in the pipeline in account 1, it will be using the role which is there in account 2 to do the necessary task. So it is going to assume this role and do the tasks that is required. So which is where your permission that is going to be there for this one is going to be very important. Now if I have to deploy a cluster, I will be using this one. And if I have to do, say, set up a glue job as part of the pipeline, I will be adding permissions related to glue. But since it's a cluster, this is what I've just kept it over here. Now we go back to our blob where, so this should take care of these accounts here. Now I'll go to this first one where we create an AWS Amazon S3 bucket with a bucket policy that grants account access to the bucket. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the account 1, which is an edge, and I have created a bucket already. And this is the name I've given. Now, just to show you what is there, I've set it up in Virginia here. And this is the that is created. But one thing there is the key that is created. Now this is the same key that I had shown earlier, where I created the key out here and I have given the setup. Now it's a best practice. One of the early videos I had shown was the CMK versus the provider key versus the customized key. So it's always a good practice to use your one key. It helps in your security posture. So this is the key I've chosen, and this is the setting that we need to do and have it enabled. Now, apart from the setting, another thing what you will need to do also is the permission part. So this is where you come here in the bucket, and let me just hit edit so it maximizes the screen. Few things you will need to have access. You will have to give access to the logs because you would want to have the logging in place for the bucket. Give the required permission. And then the likewise, wait for the logging you'll have to provide. Now this is where the other account, what you will have to give saying is that the other account has access to the account 2 has access to be able to get and put thing. And this is where it's important because the pipeline puts the artifacts in S3. That's where you need to have this setting in place. This permission is in place. And then again, you will have to have the list bucket permission of this one. So this is an important step that is required. And again, this is all policies are documented in the blog. So you could feel free to refer to that. But this is the one setting that is going to be needed. Now, this is the one I just showed you as part of the policy. Now, cross-account role is what I had shown. And this was the cross-account role where I created this code deploy role already. And that is what this is talking about on how to go about it. And this here, this role also, what it provides is it provides permission to the KMS. Now, this is where let me show you the edge, the permission for the KMS back, because the role that is the cross account role is, right? We need to add it here as well. You need to put it here so that your role has the key, the S3 bucket, which it is encrypted using this key. It has able to does encrypt as well. So that is why this permission is important as part of the setup. And then if I come here, this is where you will review the policy and you will review the KMS settings out here. And once this is done, you will have to replace the key ID out here. And this all is details, so feel free to check out the code and leverage the setup out here. Now, once the cross account rules that you have created, this is where you will have to ensure that the another account ID, it should be done. And that is where I had shown that this is, if you come here as part of the trust relationship, actually this one, yeah, I missed this step. So what we need to do is, here we need to do AWS account. And this is where we need to choose the other AWS account because that is what this rule asked for. But I did it incorrectly. So let me fix this and let me take the other account that is there. And this is where I'll give the permissions required. I'll give ECS. I'll choose this one. And also give any other ones that are required. So I could just give ECS full access just for this purpose. Hit next. I'll just give it assumable role 2. Give a description, do give tags, definitely. I'm just kind of skipping for now, but do give it. And this one will be created. Now this is where you could go here, have the assumable role, and if you go as part of the trust relationship, you'll be able to see the other account is able to assume the role over here. So this is an important step, something I didn't do, but this is where you should read the blog more thoroughly than I did. That's why I created it for you. I've been sitting on this for 4 hours. So please read this and make sure that you don't miss a step. It can be confusing. It can be a little daunting, right? So that's why, but I thought for the better benefit of you all, is going to be helpful to understand this pattern. So you do this. Now this rule that I've taken, right, I've created, I will be taking the on as well as updating in my KMS out here. So something I will have to do to ensure it has the right setup. And I'll try updating the other one. I'll just add this one out here, save the changes, and then I will come back to my blog and then follow the next steps. Now, in the account 1, what you will have to do is add the assume permission to the CodePipeline service role to allow it to be able to assume the role in account 2. Now, this is where it is there. So let me go back. So in account 1, navigate to this, add the inline policy, and that is what I had shown earlier. But let me do a quick refresher so we don't miss it. So this is the one I was mentioning, that you have to have this so that it can assume the role out here. So this is an important step, don't miss it. So now this all should be good. And this is where you will have to create a few service roles out here. Because when we deploy a cluster, we have to have a few service roles. One of them is the auto-scaling. One of them is the full deploy if you have to use it. And I'll show you how we go about create the service roles. So what you do is you come here and you go into the create a role and you choose the use case such as code deploy, and you choose here code deploy ECS, like this setting. It automatically select the policy for you. These are service link roles that are there. Give it a name. Majority of the times you wouldn't need to even create a name. It'll automatically do that for you. But give it code deploy ES service linked, and this is where you could create the role. I'll skip this because the reason I'll skip this is I already had the role created. Let me show you. And this is the role I had already created in place. So that is where I'll just skip this. But similarly, what you could also do is for the auto scaling, you could do a similar setup out here. And this is where you come in, auto scale. You choose this option. You choose the EC2 auto scaling. And then you choose this next. And it'll give you the setting, what you want to do, ECS. Now, again, this is something, I had created, so I'll skip it for now. But this is what you will need to do as part of the service ring. Take it roll out here. Now, The above steps have taken care of the key creation, the S3 bucket, the IAM. So you have the encryption in place, you have your artifacts in place, you have the cross account role and assumability also in place. With this and done, now what you need to do is, and you've also taken care of the code deploy as well as the auto scaling rule that needs to be done is also in place. Now what you need to do is you need to update the CodePipeline configuration to include the resources with for the account too. So here it's better to use CL because the console is limited in what it can do. So using the CLI is a much better option. So if you come here, what you could do is I have given this, you could change the name. I have given this option here, that this is the sample one that you could use, where you have to ensure that you use the create pipeline, you give the role on that is there as well as you provide the required setting out here. So if you come here, this is where I've given the role that is there, and you provide the access for the account. You provide the code commit that is required because you would be in a pipeline. 99% will be putting the code, so just ensure you get the code from there, and that is where you will have the setting out here what is required. And once you do that, you will get the resources, and just ensure you have the cluster name set up properly and the other role that you have as part of this one. Now this is an important step because unlike cloud formation where you explicitly give an account, the only way for AWS to know which account it needs to deploy is via the rule here. This is very important, and that is where it will be using this account ID. It moves that this is the role I need to do the deploy because anywhere else you wouldn't see any mention of the account. So using which AWS will know that this task has to be deployed in this particular cluster in this account. This is very important, and that's why this full purpose of the rule is in place. So now this is tried and tested. Creating this video itself took me 4 hours, so I'll probably keep it another video. But I hope this provides you good information on how you could use code deploy and code pipeline, because all the other articles at least I searched for, they did have this option. So that's where I hope this article is useful for you. So please drop in your like, comment, and subscribe. Now coming back to this, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that the whole process may seem overwhelming. It may seem very simple that you can just in your account, just set up the pipeline. There is nothing to do with cross account setup. But it is a good pattern to do because, as I said, if in organization when you're working, you will have a lot of business units. In fact, you will have a lot of customers. You would want to have it segregated. And instead of replicating a pipeline in each of these accounts, you're better off having a centralized pipeline, providing it the required access, and be able to, it'll help in your operation, notification, and your security posture as well. So that is well, right? So it is good for other cross account use cases as well, because this is one use case. There'll be many other like guard duty, like cloud trail. You want to have a centralized cloud trail, so it's a good pattern to look into for that as well. And it will also help in your overall understanding of how organizations work, how cross account setup work, because the same setup is also going to be there in all the other clouds as well, Google, in Azure as well. So that is where it's pretty useful. So with that said, please like, subscribe, share our channel, and if you find any value, drop in a comment and share your feedback on what do you think about the next topic that we want us to cover.